Now that you have a good understanding of how Trello works from a base functionality standpoint, now we're going to create some actual user stories out there in Trello utilizing the XLR8 sample user stories that we provided earlier in the course. It's highly recommended as we go through this that you follow along and actually create your own Trello board and go through creating these user stories. Not only will it help you retain the information a little better, but it'll help you work through how to interact with the Trello software and how you can create cards and move them along to the various processes. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create a board. We need to create a board for our XLR8 project. So let's hop over here. We go up in the upper left-hand corner and click Boards. We click on Create New Board. And I'm going to name this XLR8 Project. I'm going to create that board. Awesome. Now it's created the board. It did some random background. I guess we'll leave the stars there. And it did automatically create a to-do, doing, and done for us. So we've got that. If it did not create a to-do, doing, and done on yours, go ahead and do that. Create those lists, simply clicking into them and typing to-do, doing, and done. Now that we have our base board set up, now I want to walk through and actually create some of these user stories. So we're going to start with user story number 1, and right here we're in the title. For user stories inside of Kanban, generally you go ahead and type out that full user story in the card, so it's visible right there. So we can type, as a startup founder, be able to create an account on XLR8 website so that I can join the XLR8 community of investors, mentors, and angel investors. Perfect. So we've created that user story. The one thing here though is we have acceptance criteria we need to put in there. So I'm going to go ahead and click into that story. Generally, companies will put the acceptance criteria in Trello right inside the description. So to save some time, I'm actually going to come out here and I'm going to copy paste this right in there. So now we have an acceptance criteria and we have our details below. So we're going to go ahead and click Save. Now we can close out. So we have our first user story created here. Let's go ahead and create user story number 2. As a startup founder, I want to be able to log into the XLR8 website. So that I can access the XLR8 content and community. Perfect. We've got that all set. Now we can come into it. And we've got our acceptance criteria and we have some other notes. So I'm going to grab all of that, put it in here. Obviously when you copy paste sometimes it doesn't look real good, so kind of clean it up a little bit. Good. So we've got that. We've got our details inside of here. Now we can go ahead and close out of this card. So now we've documented our first 2 user stories out here. Let's actually jump down to number 3. We also are going to add this one, and we're going to add this picture. The picture is available as an attachment on this lecture as a resource. There's actually 3 of them out there. So jump out there, download the pictures so you have them if you want to walk through and actually attach them yourself as you follow along. So let's create this. As a new user, I want to be able to go to the landing page of the XLR8 website so that I can learn more about the XLR8 and community. Great. Pop in here. We're going to come on here and grab our acceptance criteria just as we have. Paste that in. Awesome. get that situated, click save. Awesome. Now that we have the acceptance criteria in there, we want to add the attachment. So we're going to come out here to attachment, click it. We're going to say where we're getting our attachment from. In our case, we're getting it from our computer. Here's our website wireframe. And there it is. Now we have our image attached to our user story. You see it right there. We can go ahead and close out of here. And now you actually see the image as part of the card. So we can see that there's a wireframe for this particular website. Then we're going to go ahead and jump down to user story number 5, and we're going to create another card. As a site visitor, I want to be able to view the monthly view of all the upcoming events in my area so that I can connect to other members and attend the events that can help me or my startup. Perfect. Do some grammar correction here. Add that card in. I'm going to go ahead and click into it just like always. Grab the acceptance criteria, put it in there. I need to add the attachment, so I'm going to click there. Again, it's going to be my computer. Here it is. It's the events wireframe attachment. I'm going to go ahead and attach it and close. So I've created that user story out here. And we're going to do one more. Let's jump down to user story number 6. As an XLR8 member, I want my profile page to include additional details about me so that the startup founders can learn about me and decide if I'm the right mentor for them. Perfect. Jump in here. Again, same thing. I'm going to just copy the acceptance criteria just because it's done and easy. I'm going to save that. Go out here, grab an attachment. Right there's our profile wireframe. Add that in here and close out. Okay, now we have added our 5 user stories out here, and of course your project would have a lot more, but I just want to go through and get these added out here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move each of these through the process. So let's say that we're going to jump out here and I'm going to correct this spelling mistake on able. And I'm going to get rid of my extra 2. So I'm going to correct those. To correct it, you just simply click into it. And when you get here, it looks like you can't type over it, but you can click in and adjust anything that you need to. So it's simple as click in editing as necessary. So anyways, we're going to grab this one and we're going to pull it across to doing. We're going to take ownership of this particular user story. Now as we're working on this story, we may come out here, we may add some comments, we may be adding some different attachments and wireframes and whatnot, whatever it takes for us to get this story completed. Once we are able to get it completed, then we can move it to our done column, as long as it now meets the definition of done that we set up at the beginning of the project. Assuming it does, we can move it to the done column. And now that we're done with that work item, we can grab our next work item and pull it over. We would do the same thing, add any attachments, comments, due dates, whatever we need to do throughout the life of this user story and getting it complete. And then once we meet the definition of done, we can move it over to the done column. So now as part of an activity, what I'd like you to do is jump back to the XLR8 user stories and document user stories 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 out here in the to-do column. So create additional Trello cards for user stories 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So it'll be 5 additional user stories. And go ahead and put them out here in the to-do column. Don't worry about adding acceptance criteria or additional attachments unless you're really interested in doing that. We just want you to go out here and create the card and write that user story. Now a big point, a big note is don't copy paste the user story. It's a good habit to get into to write those user stories as I want to so that Make sure that you're writing them out, so as you're typing it out, you're going through that cadence and you're remembering that critical user story structure. So again, jump out here, create cards in Trello for 5 user stories, 12, 13, 14, and 15, and 16 from our XLR8 sample user stories document.